Okay, so a perfect square trinomial, this is in section 6.3, is basically a binomial squared. A binomial squared. So perfect square trinomials are always of the form a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. So it would factor into a plus b squared. A squared minus 2ab plus b squared equals a minus b squared. All right, so perfect square trinomial. So basically it just means that when you factor a trinomial, you end up with two of the same factors. That's it. It just has a special name, okay? So let's look at a problem. So x squared plus 12xy plus 36y squared. So remember we go through our steps of factoring. So is it in descending order? Yes, it is. Now, one thing about this one, because we have x's and y's, your descending order just means is one of your variable components start with x squared. So when they give you x's and y's, it'll usually already be in the order it needs to be in, okay? So just don't stress yourself out. So you could have the 36y squared in front or the x squared in front. So second power of one power, right? You see that? So there is no greatest common factor. And then the next step is we need factors of 36. That'll give us a 12. And so the factors of 36 that'll give us a 12 would be 6 and 6. So my a is 1 here. So I'm just going to do my two sets of parentheses. So x and x, 6y, 6y, right? Because we have to account for this y squared. And then our signs would be plus and plus. And so here, this is a perfect square trinomial, right? So x squared, a squared plus what? 2ab. So our xy and then 2 times our 6 gives us the 12 plus 36y squared. But we don't need the form, right? We can really just use our way of factoring to factor it. We don't need to use this special shortcut that they like to give us because it's extra work. So this is just, it's good to know the format, but just use your regular steps for factoring and it'll be easier, I think. But you can also do the steps, do that process. All right, so let's look at another one. This is not a I have to find one. I could just make one. So x squared plus 4x plus 4. All right, so here we're going to do factors of 4. That'll give us a 4. So 2 and 2. So x plus 2, x plus 2. And so the other way we can write it is what? X plus 2 squared. Same thing with this one. X plus 6y squared. All right? So perfect square trinomials. It just means that once you factor it, you should get the same two factors. And so it's just that binomial to the second power. So you don't have to use that shortcut method. All right? You don't need to use the shortcut method. But I'll show it to you here. So if we use the x squared plus 12xy plus 36y squared. So what you do is you identify your a and your b. So my a here is clearly x. And then my b here would be 6y. So when you substitute in the middle, 2 times a, which is x, times b, which is 6y. So x plus 6y squared. All right. So basically, what is squared here to identify your a, then what is squared here? So you identify your b. So it's essentially like taking the square root of that c term. So what times itself will give you 36, right? And so that's how you do it. So then if we use this one, a is x plus my c is 2. So 2 times a times 2. So that would give me x plus 2 squared. Okay? Now, this is why I don't like that method, because who has time for all that? Just use your method of factoring to be able to factor it. And then once you factor it, if you have the same two factors, oh, this was a perfect square trinomial. And then just write it in its squared form. That's it. Like, using this takes up too much time to me. All right? But I showed you how to do it anyway. So it's your choice.